My life is a miracle. Every child has a story of God's love to share. Shalom World, tune into God's love story.
I'll be honest with you, the topic that we're going to take up today is something that I've thought about and actually gives me a little bit of trepidation sometimes. It's the topic of why even get married today. We're the parents of 5, but we also serve in marriage ministry. And sometimes I wonder myself, are we being the best models of marriage ourselves? Are we even kind of putting out a blueprint or a roadmap for what it would mean to have a successful marriage?
A beautiful quote that we've heard and that we've discussed before is that our marriage is the most important homily that our kids will ever hear, and that when you're involved in ministry, it can be a little intimidating. Oh my goodness, like what are the kids going to think? Like, are we doing okay? Like, do our kids even want to get married?
I think I've even asked them before, do you want to get married? And I think one of them says, I don't think so.
And so we recently celebrated our 12th wedding anniversary. And on our wedding anniversary, we were having dinner, and it was just a very romantic dinner. Our kids threw rose petals at us, and it was a really wonderful day. And we were wondering if maybe the kids had kind of changed their idea about marriage a little bit. And so our eldest, we were chatting, and Ryan said, each child, hey, why don't you just go around the table? What is marriage all about? Like, what is it about? What's the meaning of marriage? We were a little bit stunned at our daughter's response.
I'd say so.
And so she said that marriage is about life, children, good one, love, good, and she said enjoy. She said marriage is about life, love, and joy.
I think we dodged a bullet with that answer.
We were so relieved that her experience of marriage in our home, in our domestic church, in our family, was that it was experience of life, love, and joy. And so we're not perfect. Every day is a new day, and we do our best. But we want our children to have that experience of life, love, and joy.
And so this is the reason why we're taking up this topic today. In this episode, you will hear couples really respond to that question, why even get married today? It's really important, but it's not just why to get married, maybe in a society at a time where people feel maybe marriage is something that's not even possible. But in addition to why you get married, how to get married. What's the best way to prepare for marriage? These are all important fundamental steps that really every generation of Christians, of faithful people should understand, so that as we're creating this roadmap, as we're opening up the doors to our own domestic churches, that we can see a path forward for couples to have a successful, thriving marriage.
Hello, I am Juan Carlos Pagan.
Hi, I'm Megan Roberts, and I work as a speech therapist with kids.
Hi, we're Tori and Matt Gosson.
I'm Glenn.
And Cindy.
Marcantel.
I am originally from Puerto Rico. Back in 1996, I moved to Louisiana, where I met my wife.
We met when we were 18 years old in college.
We're a couple from Louisiana. We have been married a year and a half, and we're so excited to be able to share our story with you.
I'm Samuel Yeso.
And we recently got engaged.
My name is Veronica Pagan, and we've been married for 22 years. We have 4 children, 3 boys and 1 girl, ages 13 through 20.
We have known each other for more than a year and a half.
Yes.
We've known each other for
6 years.
6 years? It was 6 years?
When I think of family, I think of big gatherings, lots of food, lots of noise, chaos, and just a blessing.
A place where we learn how to love the way Jesus loved us and try to share that love with our children and hopefully with the rest of the world.
Family is just such an important thing to us. It's just a beautiful example it's beautiful to like have people that you can look at to be an example for you and then to grow and to become an example to others. Love is amazing and it's always worth fighting for.
We're both very excited to begin our family and to learn what it means to be husband and wife and parents.
We have a beautiful family now. We just had a daughter who's now 4 months old, and
Beautiful.
we're very, very happy.
Just continually just growing and moving and an explosion of life and joy.
I feel like Mary Rose, you and I always try to present and respond to this question that comes up oftentimes in our travels is why even get married? It seems like today the world kind of yawns at marriage in some ways. Either they just don't believe it, they haven't seen it really lived out in a fruitful way, but it is something it's our responsibility as Christian married people, as Catholics, to show the gift of marriage, But I don't know in your own experience, and how would you, if some young person came up to you and you say, is it even worth it to be married? Like, why would you even get married? What would you say to them?
Because you were made for it.
Oh.
As simple as that. Biologically, you were made for marriage, and psychologically and emotionally and humanly, you were made for marriage. Now, you might choose to go a different direction, and that doesn't mean you're necessarily handicapped on it. But it is about that as human, we're social beings, and marriage is the deepest expression of our social nature.
I would say, why not? I mean, the first question, why would you not want to be married? Because, knowing to have this incredible security, stableness, that someone is going to commit themselves to me, whether in good times and in bad, even when they see my, crankiness, they are still going to be committed to me. Why would you not want to be with someone and have children? I mean, what a gift to create a family together. It blows my mind away. I mean, I think it's such a gift, and it intrigued me to have a family, to have children, to create traditions. I think it's the greatest thing that could ever happen. It makes me sad that that they don't see this incredible gift.
We're talking with Megan and Samuel about just all these great topics concerning marriage, and one of them just is a very basic question about marriage, which was nice to toss this over to the engaged couple, the young engaged couple.
Well, for me, it's just kind of, for a long time, for years, I had discerned my vocation. What did the Lord want me to do? And prayer has always been important in my life, and Mass and the sacraments. And so for a long time, I wrestled with that. I wrestled with, okay, like, what does the Lord want me to do? Everyone sees me as a nun, but I don't feel that. I have this desire for, to have a companion, and I remember thinking, sometimes I would go visit some of the elderly at the nursing home, and I remember just thinking, man, I really would like someone to do this with me, I really want some to be a missionary with me. And so for me, it's to recognize the importance of marriage and to recognize why people should get married, because what is marriage for? I guess that would be the question. What's the point, And for me, it's, it's definitely a call, but also to really reflect the love of God in the world.
I think for me, it's the most expression of myself. If I really love Megan, is when you love someone, what else can do for this person? What else I can do? So on marriage is just to give myself, And I think why get married is because I really want to receive her, and I really want to give myself to her.
We need to know what love is. You know, God, in the incarnation, like God became man, Jesus, to show us love, to show us how to live, you know? And still he gives us all these different signs and all these things that point to his love. And so marriage to me is that sign too, that sacrament to show this is what love is. This is what life is about. Life is all about love. And where can you find that within the beautiful covenant of marriage? You know, this is what it means to love, to give up your whole life for another person, just like Jesus gave up his life for so many people, you know, that sacrificial love, and not necessarily the feeling of it. Because sometimes I do get frustrated with Sam, he gets frustrated with me, you know, but in those moments, in that friction, we're learning how to love each other better. You know, we're learning what true love is, because if I'm just thinking it's a feeling, then it's going to go away and then I'm going to not want to commit, you know, but if I know that love is really for the good of the other and also to sacrifice myself, then it's going to hurt sometimes. It's going to be a cross. It's going to be a burden. But in that, I'm becoming more like Christ on the cross.
With plummeting marriage rates around the nation and beyond, it seems that young people today are just losing interest in getting married, staying married. It almost seems like an institution people are yawning at. But how would you explain that or express that to maybe young people today, just the value and the gift of marriage and why it's something that we should just really try to strive for?
And you've been married 40 years, almost 40 years. So how would you encourage, just maybe younger couples who are listening or grandparents to encourage it? Like, why should one get married?
I think for me, looking back on it, had I chosen not to marry and continued on knowing my weaknesses and knowing myself, it would have been a choice to stay in a selfish place, would have tempted me to greater selfishness. Whereas being married, and we were blessed to find each other at a young age, has called me out of myself, and it called me to give that gift of self, has called me to face all of my weaknesses and work on them. So just that, in caring about yourself, you know, is a gift that you can give yourself.
And for me, it's just, I shudder to think of where I would be had I not had Cindy to help me on my journey, prod me along, if you will, in my journey towards, holiness or the continual growth in holiness. And then I think about, why we were created. God's created man and woman, and he said, be fruitful and multiply.
Yeah, and to create a stable home with children is the future of our world.
It's so encouraging sitting with Matt and Tori right now, just a newly married couple. Particularly during a moment in history, it just seems that young people just have a lot of anxiety about getting married. And some even just question, is it even worth getting married? How would you, just engage in that conversation with maybe somebody your age or a little bit younger that just says, is marriage even something that we should even strive for?
Yeah, absolutely. Why should we get married? I understand so many people are worried about getting married, and why should we get married, and what's the point? Is it just some piece of paper? But I think it's a lot more than that. I think it's something that helps us to be better. It's something that it is a struggle. I would be lying to you if I said it wasn't a struggle, if it was always happy. But we're not called to that. We're not called to always be happy. It's in the struggle that we grow. It's in the struggle that we develop ourselves. And it's amazing to not be alone through everything. More than anything, I have a person who knows me, knows my inner parts in all of my struggles, and can help me without having to tell her constantly what I'm struggling with, what I'm hurting with, and she's just there.
Without reservations.
Without reservations. It's just, it's community to its greatest extent, to par excellence. It's everything. It's a total gift. When you release yourself and you're not scared and you fully give, that's what you get back. And it is a risk because you have to open yourself up. But what you give up, you receive 10 times.
I think a lot of young people just don't know what's possible. If they haven't seen marriage lived out, they just don't know. And recently we celebrated our 12th wedding anniversary, and we were trying to talk to the kids about marriage, and our eldest is 11. So it's we were trying to just like, what's marriage all about? And our 11-year-old said it's marriage is about life, having children. She said it's about love, and she said and it's about joy. And we were like, okay, we must be doing something. Yeah, but it's that we don't know our witness sometimes unless we ask someone, what are you thinking? What do you think about marriage? So just encourage, whether it's grandparents or parents or aunts or uncles, if you're listening, to talk to young people about marriage. Talk just like you would talk to them about college or career or life decisions. Encourage them to think about marriage, because our culture doesn't encourage young people to think about marriage. It kind of, as Ryan says, yawns at it. So it's witness from couples like you that say, why not? That I think will encourage the next generation to consider just the joy of marriage.
And with that said, how would you pass on to the next generation, or if you were mentoring someone, how would you say what is the best form of preparation?
Well, in a perfect world, it would be the family. I mean, what you just shared with us is an example of marriage prep for your kids, but sadly, that's not the way the society is shaped right now.
The big thing that we talked about the other day was just like growing together. So we were very honest with each other.
Know her in a different way than a friendship,
Focusing on your relationship, your individual relationship with God. And if you're working on that, then it's going to also affect your relationship with your future spouse. So I think that should be a focus.
Mm-hmm. So other people have to step in and fill in the spaces that your parents were not able to fill in. And that's where it's so important in marriage preparation to have an extended time of encountering people that can mentor that relationship to you and take it seriously.
I've already seen that there is a lot of struggle. There definitely can be. I think whenever you are in a relationship with someone, a lot of your woundedness can come out, your brokenness. And sometimes it's scary because we like everything to be smooth. We don't want to have any friction in our lives. But I was telling Sam, with friction is how we grow, And, as you said earlier, every single thing, my job is hard, but I still go to my job, Everything, a lot of things are hard. Nothing is really easy. You have to fight for it. But I think there's such great beauty in that, And it's not all the time, just like everything, it's like a roller coaster. We can be doing good, and then one day I'm like, oh wait, Sam, I want to talk about this. He's probably like, oh really again, But I think that's what really helps me too, because I know that I can go to him. I can communicate with him, even if whatever I have to share is weird. I can be vulnerable with him. And I think in those moments, what's so beautiful is that I can experience the love of God through Samuel. I can experience how the Lord loves. He loves unconditionally. Because even whenever I think my points or whatever I want to share is weird or crazy, and Samuel is just like, yes, I'm listening to you, and we try to work it out together, that is where God's love comes alive for me. This is where I see Jesus in Samuel. So we were very honest with each other. And I think that's the biggest thing that I could share, is that don't be afraid to share even the hardest things, the great things, the sad things. And we used Witness to Love. It was amazing. It's so thorough. Like, you think you've talked about everything, and then it just, I guess because you have a mentor couple that brings things in a different light, it just helps so much with just processing and being like, oh, okay,
So we haven't really covered something quite like this yet. It was just so thorough, so beautiful, and just being able to communicate and be honest with each other helped the process in preparing even more, and it got us to where now it's just so easy and effortless to be able to share and grow and learn each other better.
It's so critical that whoever is contemplating marriage to take the time of preparation seriously. It's the necessity to put time on it, to just put effort in it, and in the context of a relationship with another couple.
Why get married? Well, because we're trying to do what marriage entails without God's grace. That sacraments give grace, and a justice of a peace that can be a legal bond, but it doesn't give grace. Grace comes from Christ through his body, the church. And so we see that even in the book of the Gospel of St. John, that the fathers of the church say when we see Jesus at Cana in Galilee at this couple's marriage, that we see that it's man, woman, and Christ and his church. We see the bishops there, his apostles come, the Blessed Mother's there, and he's there. And so when the church is invited, then there's grace. And so we need grace to be able to do what we're called to do. I couldn't do what a priest does without the grace of the sacrament. Something happened to me when I was ordained that gives me powers in my soul to do what God's asked me to do. When a couple gets married, the Holy Spirit descends and consecrates the bond and gives graces to accept children lovingly from the Lord, to educate them, to forgive one another, to be submissive to one out of reverence for Christ, to be able to bear one another's burdens, to carry the cross of one another, to be able to have a foretaste of the wedding feast and the Lamb. All that comes with marriage as a sacrament. And it doesn't come if you cohabitate, and it doesn't come if you get married just by justice of peace. Secondly, love seeks to be definitive. St. John Paul, who spoke so much about marriage and family, said that if I can't think I can love a person forever for the rest of my life, it's doubtful if I can love for even a moment, because love seeks to be definitive. And so it has to be consecrated. I have to say forever. I have to make a commitment and give myself totally forever. And if I don't do that, then that marriage, that relationship is on very shaky ground. Statistics tell the truth that cohabitating couples, the future of their marriage is very bleak, because they are doing what married couples are trying to do without grace and without the commitment of true charity. And when things go south, when there's difficulties, there's no bond. How many times, just to be a man of a word, a person stays married, stays a priest, stays a Christian because of their word. Today, we need couples to marry and to begin to build that life together and service to the church with God's grace and not on their own powers.
The question we talked about today, why even get married, is something that's really important to us. It's something that we've given really the past 10 years of our life and our family to really help address and to help support in the lives and new marriages of couples today.
Marriage is more than a joint checking account or shared pets or shared house note or even shared children or shared lives. Marriage is about giving yourself as a complete gift to another. Our family, our marriage is an incredible gift, an incredible treasure that I cannot imagine living without. And so if God is calling you to marriage, and most of us are called to marriage, sit down with someone whose marriage really attracts you and say, what conversations did you have? How did you meet your spouse? How did you decide to get married? How did you prepare for marriage? All of these are incredible questions and conversations to have as you prepare or consider preparing for the sacrament of matrimony.
Someone who's used media a lot in evangelization, so I believe in the importance of Catholic radio, Catholic TV, Catholics using the new media. Can I encourage everyone to watch Shalom TV? I think it's a great vehicle of evangelization. And God bless all of you.